Hello. In this video I want to show you how to add the media gallery tool to a page on your site. And to see what this media gallery tool does, I'm going to go ahead and open up a finished version of this website. And you can see here I actually have two galleries, a photo gallery and a video gallery. And if I click on my image here, you can see an example of the way this photo gallery is going to work. And I can go through these and I can see the different photos that are in my gallery. I can go backwards and forwards through the images all I want. I can even click this little play button down here and it will show me the slideshow, or the gallery as a slideshow. You can see there it automatically moved to the next image in the show, and just like that. When I want to stop it, I just hit the pause button there. You can also go backwards and forward through your image using these two buttons right down here. They do the same thing as these two items. There's an image count. This is image 4 of 6 here. And then we have buttons to either tweet or like this particular photo. So it links to people's Facebook accounts or Twitter accounts. And finally, when you want to close the gallery off, you just click this close button right here. And you can see examples of the video gallery right here. It works in exactly the same way as the photo gallery does, only when you click on that, instead of a photograph coming up, you can see that a video actually begins to play. You have all the same controls down here for going through the different videos that are in your gallery or tweeting and liking videos. But in addition, at the bottom of the video you have all the player controls, like your volume control, your pause button, the resolution, and things like that. And in this case I'm hosting the video on YouTube. So that's actually what I'm using, and that's going to be your best bet for hosting videos, is to upload them to YouTube and then use them on your account or on your actual website that way. So this is the media gallery plugin that we're going to go ahead and set up. Now the example that we're using here is Ourtown Country Market, but if you're working with another template or something else in the framework, this media gallery plugin will work exactly the same. So just think of this as a sample template at this point. Again, it'll work with any template in the collection. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize this, and I'm now back here on my page that I want to add my gallery to. Now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to use this media gallery tool to set up a photo gallery. And once we've done that, then we're going to move on and see how to use the tool with videos. So first we're going to focus on setting up photo galleries, and the second thing we'll do is we'll focus on setting up video galleries. Now before you actually install the plugin, you need to make sure that you have all the images you want to use for your photo gallery ready to go. And actually, if we come back here to our sample page, we take a look at this. You can see the different images here, and when I click on the item, the larger size appears here. Now, so there's two images involved here. There's the small version of the image, which we're calling the thumbnail, and then there's the full size version of the image. Now these can actually be two separate images, or they can be the exact same image sized differently. In this case I'm using the same image, only here I have it resized to being 120 by 80 pixels. And then the full size image appears here. But if you wanted to, you could use a different thumbnail image from your full size image. You know, for example, if the thumbnail didn't look very good when you resize it and make it small, Well, in that case, you may want to not resize the image. You may want to just crop it down so you can only see a part of the image and use that as your thumbnail. So again, your thumbnail can be the same image or it can be a different image. But in our case, it's going to be a different image. I'm sorry, it's going to be the exact same image. We'll see how to use a different image when we do the video gallery down here. So we need to make sure that all of the images we want to use in the photo gallery are in our images folder. And right now my gallery images are right here. They're named G1 through G6. You could name them anything you want. I usually sequentially number them so I can make sure I get all of my images. So let's say this was a photo gallery about Project A. I may call that Project A1, Project A2, Project A3. Just as long as I can make sure easily that I've got all the images and that I have them in the order that I want them to appear in the gallery. Also, I've placed my images here directly inside of my images folder, but you could create another folder here and place them inside of that folder. And that may help to keep you more organized. But since I just have 6 simple images, I just place them right inside of the images folder. But you can organize that however you want. So after we have our images set up and our page open that we want to work on, you're going to go ahead and go into the framework folder. And inside of the framework folder, you're going to see a folder called JS. We want to go into the JavaScript folder. You'll see a folder called plugins. You'll go in there, and there is the media gallery plugin tool. So I'm going to right click on that right where it says media gallery here, and then I'm going to go to edit copy, and now I'm going to go back into my site folder, and I'm going to right click on this topmost folder and go to edit paste. And that just copies and pastes all the resources we're going to need for the plugin into our local site. If after you've pasted you don't see media gallery here, all you have to do is click this refresh button right here and you should see it appear here. Now, when I open that folder up, you're going to see there are 3 folders here. And these 3 folder names correspond to folders that you already have set up. We have CSS, images, and JavaScript, or JS. And here we have CSS, images, JavaScript. And what we need to do is we need to move the contents of these folders into your site folder. So I'm going to go into Media Gallery and open the CSS folder up, and I'm going to drag this CSS file up here into my main CSS folder. You should get this dialog box. Go ahead and hit update. So now I've done that. I'm going to do the same thing with images. Inside of my images folder there should be a Media Gallery folder, and I want to drag that into my images folder. So we'll go ahead and drag that over and hit update. And so now in my main images folder I should see Media Gallery there. And again, if these don't appear, just hit the refresh button and you should see the item. And now all I'm left with is JS. So I'm going to go ahead and open that up, and there's MediaGallery.js. I'm going to go ahead and move that over into that folder as well. And these are just instructions, so we're going to leave those there. But you should have moved the contents from these 3 folders into the appropriate folder in your site. Now, inside of your JS folder, you're going to see there was an additional file here, jQuery.js. You should already have this in the JS folder. If you don't, however, You just simply need to add it there. And you can get this jQuery.js one of two different ways. One is you can go to jQuery.com and download it and install it here. Or if you go into your framework folder, you're going to see there's inside of framework there's a folder called JS, and then there's a folder called libraries, and jQuery is located right there. And you could copy and paste that file directly over into your JavaScript file. And since I already have it there, it's going to bring up this warning. But you need to make sure that you move jQuery either from the framework or download it and install it from the jQuery.com website. So we now have all of the resources that we're going to need to set up our galleries. Now, last thing I'm going to do in this media gallery folder is double click on setupcode.txt, and that's going to bring up the instructions that I need to follow from this point on. Okay, now step one here says that we need to include this link to the jQuery script in our site. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that, and then I'm going to go ahead and come back into my gallery page and go into code view, and I need to paste that into the head section. So I'm going to come here underneath title, and I'm going to go ahead and paste that script in there. Now actually I already have jQuery right up here, and if you already have a link to jQuery in your template or on your page, you actually don't need it a second time, but I'll paste it in there just so that we can see it. Now with this script, as well as with the couple additional scripts that we're going to add in a moment, you need to make sure that the source here is correct. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight that entire value there, including the quotation marks, and then I'm going to type a quote and then click on Browse. You can see here I'm in my local site folder, and I need to go find jQuery. And I know I placed it in the JavaScript folder, so I'm going to double click on that, and there it is, and I'll click OK, and it will put the correct path in there. In this case the path was correct before, but if for some reason or another something isn't working, the first thing I always tell people is put your paths back in for your sources and see if it works at that point. Now the second step here, step 2, we need to copy and paste a link in to the Media Gallery JavaScript as well as to the Media Gallery CSS. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight those and copy them, and I'm going to paste them right underneath that there. And then again, I can make sure that these are correct simply by highlighting the value for the source, type a quotation mark, and use the Browse option to select a media gallery in that case. Or in the case of the second item here, this is a link to the style sheet. I can go ahead and again highlight that in the href, type a quote, select Browse. I'm still in JavaScript, so I have to go up one level, go into my CSS folder, and there's the Media Gallery CSS. So I can make sure that those two items are in there. Now I'm going to go ahead, and step 3 is to actually activate the script. So I'm going to highlight this block of code here and copy this, and then I'm going to go into my gallery plugin, or into my gallery page, excuse me, and paste this in again. We'll save that, come back into our instructions. Now step 4 we already did, and that was to copy the media gallery folder from the images folder in the plugin and paste it or drag and drop it into the images for your actual site. And you'll remember when we went ahead and dragged the media gallery folder out of images and put it in our image folder there. So again, if you've already done that, if you did that before you started, you don't need to do it again. Step 5 is to actually set up your gallery itself. And there are a number of important notes here that we're going to talk about as we go through that. But you'll see again this block of code here. And I want to highlight that and copy it. And we're now going to go ahead and move that into our actual site. Now, you don't place this code, because it's the actual gallery itself, into the head section. Remember, the head section is where you put instructions for the browser. So things like links to style sheets or links to JavaScript, that all goes in the head section. In our case, we want to go ahead and place the media gallery right here in our design. And I eliminated some of the placeholder content from here earlier. And if I go into code view at this point, you can see this is where I want that gallery to go. And I just hit enter a few times to give myself some extra space. So I'm just going to go ahead and paste that in there, right there. And I'm actually going to tab that over a little bit and save it. So we're now ready. We've got all the basic elements that we need from our Media Gallery plugin installed on our gallery page. The next thing that we need to do is actually customize this with our own images. And again, right now we're dealing with the photo gallery. We'll deal with the image gallery, the video gallery in just a little bit. So here is the code for our photo gallery, and you can see those images right here. So we need to go ahead and customize this for our images. Now, I actually have 6 images inserted in here by default. But if you had more, let's say you had 7 images, you could simply highlight one of these lines and copy it, and then make yourself an extra space and paste that on in there. So you can have as many images as you want in your gallery. We're going to go ahead and do 6. Likewise, if let's say you only had 3 images, you could highlight these 3 and just delete them, and you'd only have 3 images in your gallery. And again, before we even started this process, we actually copied the images that we were going to use over into our images folder. And you can see them there, G1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now, taking a look at these list items here, each one of these list items is an individual image in the gallery. And I want you to notice that inside of the list item, there's an anchor tag, an A tag. And that specifically references the image that we want to appear. This is the full size version of your image. Now, if we go over here a little bit further, you're going to see that there's an image tag for each one of these lines. And here's a source attribute. This is the thumbnail that's going to appear. So again, when we're looking at, let's look at our final version of our site here. This is the thumbnail. And you can see it's 120 by 80 pixels. The image that appears here is going to be the image that you put right in here. When we actually click the image, the full size version of the image appears right here. And that is this first image in our anchor tag. And having this in there twice basically allows you to have a different thumbnail image and a different full-size image. And the reason for that is mainly sometimes when you resize your images down so they're small enough to be thumbnails, you lose so much clarity in the image becomes so fuzzy that the thumbnail is meaningless. So in that case, what some people do is, instead of resizing it, they'll simply crop it down, or they'll reduce the size of the image itself and use that as the thumbnail. In our case, we're using the same image for the full-size image as we are for the thumbnail here. And we're just using the width and the height property to make the thumbnail smaller. And you can always come in here and make your thumbnails larger or smaller by, and actually 120 by 80 is about as small as you want to go. But you can change the size of your thumbnail from right here. So you need to make sure that your images are all linked up in here. And again, you do that simply by highlighting this value for the href, typing a quotation mark, and then selecting the browse option that appears. You'll then go into your images folder and select the image that you wish to use. And then you'll do that exact same thing for the thumbnail that you want to use for that full-size image. And again, since I'm using the exact same image, I'm going to select the exact same one there. So make sure that each one of your images, the correct path has been placed in here. And then again, you can resize your thumbnails using the width and the height properties right here. Finally, for each line we have an alt attribute, and you can see the value for the alt attribute right here. It just simply says this is the title caption for the photo. And in this case, that text is going to appear right up here. So whatever you want for the caption for the photo is going to be the text that you're going to type into this box right here. And that's all you need to do to set up a photo gallery. So let's go ahead and test this and see if our gallery is actually working. I'm going to go ahead and click this preview option and select preview in Chrome. And there are my images. They aren't formatted at all right now, but if I click on one of my thumbnails, you'll see that the full size version of the image appears and all of my controls are working. So my image gallery is working, and again you can see the caption right up here. Now, coming back in here, we want to go ahead and format these thumbnails differently. Right now they're just in an unordered list, so they're just stacked one on top of each other. So we need to create some CSS that formats this. So I'm going to go ahead, go back into code view, and I'm actually going to go ahead and close my setup text here, and then I'm going to go ahead and open up my styles.css. And it's in this styles.css that we need to create a style that formats our gallery. And we want them to be in this format here, as opposed to just being stacked on top of each other. So here we are. So I'm going to go ahead and scroll down here until I find my containers. And there's my containers, and actually I'm going to go ahead and place this in its own section. I don't actually need any of these boxes, so I could delete that if I wanted to. And I'm going to go ahead and create another section, and I'm just going to go ahead and call it gallery. And again, I do that just to keep everything nice and clean and neat. And before we actually create the styles, let's look at this one more time. We know that we're in a div called gallery here, and we know that the elements that we're targeting are inside of list items that are part of an unordered list. And obviously they're images. So let's go ahead And first thing I want to go ahead and do is, again, I'm targeting elements in the gallery, and I'm targeting, in this case, the thumbnail. So I'm going to do ULLI. And specifically, instead of them being stacked on top of each other, I want them to display in an inline format. So I'm going to go ahead and do display inline here. And you'll remember that, just like with our navigation elements, this will put them in rows as opposed to stacking them on top of each other. And let's go ahead and take a look at our gallery here now. Now you can see they're stacked on top of each other here. But I also need to go ahead and format the images a little bit. You can see here how they're spaced out and they have a little border around them. Let's go ahead and do that. And again, I'm not targeting the element itself. I want to put some styling on the image. So I'm going to go ahead, and the style I'm going to create is gallery ULLI IMG. I'm targeting the image now. And the first thing I want to do is put some margin and some padding on to give myself some space here. So I'm going to say padding is 5 pixels and margin is also going to be 5 pixels. And then I want to go ahead and place that border around them. So I'm going to go ahead and say border is going to be 1 pixel. I'm going to say it's going to be a light gray. So I'm going to say AAA will be the color there, and solid. And we'll close our style off. And now let's take a look at our gallery, and we can see the way they're appearing there. And let's go ahead and take a look at this in Chrome, and you can see now the way they're laid out here. And you can see there's only 3 right now in a row, which is what we want. When we go ahead and look at this here, you can see that this final photo is actually bumped outside of its container. We wouldn't want that. So again, you can't really trust Dreamweaver's design view in this case. If we were to click on live view, we then get a more accurate representation of it. But just simple being in design view won't really show you how things are laying themselves out. So now we've got those thumbnails set up nice and the way we want them, and we're ready to go ahead and take a look at our video gallery down here. And the video gallery is set up much like the photo gallery is. Let's go ahead and go into code here, and you can see video gallery here. And the only difference is the first element, and again this is the element that opens up when you actually click the thumbnail. Instead of being an image, it's a link to a YouTube video. And this could be a link to any video at all. It could be a video you put on YouTube, a video you post to Vimeo, it could be a video that you just shot yourself and include inside of your website. So you just want to create a link to your video here. Be aware that video really eats up a lot of bandwidth, and that's the reason why a lot of people use YouTube to host their videos instead of actually making them a part of their website. And then over here, again, for our second item, here is a thumbnail that represents that video. And again, this could be a thumbnail from the video itself, or in this case, I just created a thumbnail for it. But you have the same, the same basic setup, where the first element in the list item is going to be a link to the actual item that opens up when you click on it, and the second item inside of the image tag here, that is going to be a link to the item that you actually see on the page before you click on it. And again, the alt tag is the caption that you're going to be using. And that's all there is to setting up an image gallery. Let's go ahead and again preview this in Chrome, and let's try the video out and see if it's working. Whoops. Come back in here to design view. Oh, I went out of my browser. Sorry about that. Here we are in the video gallery, and I'll click that thumbnail there, and there is my video playing. So real easy to do. Now, one last thing that I want you to know about setting up galleries on pages. We have two galleries here, a photo gallery and a video gallery. You can have as many galleries as you want. You could have a dozen photo galleries on a single page if you wanted to. You could have, 10 photo galleries and two video galleries, whatever you want. But you need some way of indicating what's part of one gallery and what's part of another gallery. So here's how you do that. When we go ahead and look at our code, you're going to see that each one of these elements has an REL attribute on it. And you can see it says gallery 1 here. And that's what all of these list items have in common, or all the elements have in common for this first photo gallery, is they say gallery 1 here. When we look at our second gallery, the video gallery, we again have this relationship attribute, only this time it says gallery 2. So you just sequentially number each video or each photo or video gallery on your page. Note that you're not doing gallery 1, 2, 3, 4. This isn't the number of the image. This is the number of the collection or the gallery itself. And also be aware that you put just gallery right here and then gallery and the number in brackets after that. So that's how you indicate different galleries on the same page. If you had multiple pages that you were setting up galleries on, they don't have to be sequentially numbered. So let's say you have 3 pages, each with one photo gallery. They could each be gallery 1. It's just when you have galleries on the same page that you need to give them separate numbers. And that's all there is to setting up a very nice looking photo and video gallery on your web page. And again, we went and used the Ourtown Country Market as the example here, but this could be installed on any of the templates that are a part of the framework.